How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Not too bad.
So my, opinion on that, because I am Black, and of course, the vast majority of my family are Black, and I talk with more men in my family than I do. I'm more relatable to the men in my life, period. So when it comes to Black men, I do have one person really specifically that I can say, yes, I know this Black male, and he's paid umpteen $1 million, almost, you might as well say, for attorneys in family court for his two daughters. And it does matter when it comes to, and I know, and give me a minute because I don't like being on camera, so I'm always nervous. When it comes to Black people, especially men, do get it harder. My unasked opinion, or asked, however, I've seen it. And I think that when people are looking at numbers, the numbers don't always tell the truth. But when you
Okay,
go to
so
court and you're
how,
constantly
how,
there, you see how people are being, how the difference, when you see the sentences, the amounts, that
okay,
means it's based off of race. They're not simply doing it
it's
because of
not.
that individual's financial status.
Okay, so family court is different than criminal court. They're not the same court. They're not the same court system,
I've
for
been
one.
in family court and I've seen it even with them. Like I said, my cousin, he's working two jobs to pay this bitch like $1,000 a month for two kids. And guess what she does for a living? Silly squat,
Well,
but spend his fucking money. You think the family courts give a shit? No. I've been in
yeah.
family courts
So
where I've seen white men get custody, but Black men,
again
that's not going to be the case.
and again, so do you know what the custody? Do you know what percentage of men get custody?
Very little.
It's like 10%. It's like 10% of men get custody.
So
So
why? So in that sense, y'all still are Black men. I can't say y'all. Sorry, Black men. They may not get the custody, but you know what they are gonna do? Pay a shit ton of money
so
to not see
so
their kids.
yeah, but see that's just, but what you have to understand is when you go to family court, if you have a violent offense, if you have a violent crime on your record, you're more likely not to get your kids. If you have a domestic violence charge, you're more likely not to get your kids. Women, if they say that you are abusing your kids, you're more likely not to get your kids. It's not based on your race. If the American population is 60% white, all right, and 90% of women get custody, that 90% would be majority of white people that don't get their kids. When it comes to child support payments, out of all child support payments, 85% of payments are made to women. Out of the 15% of payments that are made to men, 7% of women don't pay. Out of the 15% of payments that are awarded to men, half of those people, the women do not pay. They don't go to jail. They don't get their license suspended.
Actually, they do. I have, and I'm gonna take it back. And this is why the thing is, it's not that I wholeheartedly disagree. It's just when you say 100%, like it's actually fact. That's the only part that I'm disagreeing, because I have one on one end, one male, one female on one end who is on child support, but she hasn't gone to jail. She actually can. Florida, I don't know what it is about us, but she can go to jail. She has had her driver's license suspended, her professional license suspended, simply because of child support. She doesn't have custody of, her kids. But when it comes to child support and custody, even if a female, say for instance me, I have say I have a criminal background, and say my ex-husband has a criminal background. Now we go to court or whatever, they're still going to put him more than likely on child support, and I'm still going to get that custody. We could make the same amount, but because he's Black male, period.
No, it's because he's a male.
One, because he's a male. You're right. One, because he's a male. When it comes to race, I will say it's not the entire system. I will say, depending on who you have in front of you.
Do you live in a big city?
I'm in Florida, Tallahassee.
Yeah, but is it a big city?
We're the capital.
Okay, so is there a lot of black people that live in that city?
Yeah.
Okay, so I live in Cleveland. Huge population of blacks.
Oh, yeah, you might have more black people there. You might have more black people. I don't know.
So when I went to court,
more black people here.
When I went to court, do you know what the magistrate was?
No.
Black woman. Do you know what the prosecutor was against me for the state?
Don't say a black woman.
A black woman.
Well, do you know what my sound like you were fucked.
Do you know what my kid's mom was?
Don't say black.
A black woman. Do you know who the only white people in the courtroom were?
You and your family?
No. Me and my attorney, which was a white woman.
Damn.
Do you know when I go to the courthouse, do you know who I see? Black women. When you go down when you go downtown and you have to do anything with the government downtown, do you know who you see?
Black women.
Black women. So if you're gonna make an argument that black men get done dirty because they're black, then it's because of black women that are doing it. I don't
disagree there at all. Now that part, I'm with you 100, and I'm all the way black. Like I'm saying all the way black. Lord, I am definitely black. So I get it. And with black females, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Unfortunately, when it comes to that, I still feel in the system though. I guess I think I'm getting it, a little twisted. So in the criminal system, is what I'm saying, where black men gets it. In family court, I've only seen it with a handful. So I can't say 100%, but here in Florida, I can say that's not 100% true, because I do know that, unfortunately, race has played a part in family court, not usually to the fullest as it would be in criminal or civil.
So, for example, in criminal court, I have a long criminal history. I've been being arrested since I was 16, and I'm 32. So, at no point does it say like, oh, like the prosecutor doesn't come in the back and be like, oh, okay, so you're white. Okay, you have a white attorney. All right, we're gonna move this along. Like it doesn't work that way. So it depends on what you do in your case. So if you commit a violent crime, a robbery, a home invasion, a kidnapping, a domestic violence, assault with a deadly weapon, attempted murder, rape, any of these charges that are violent, you are more likely to get the max. Also in the court system, if they give you a deal and you don't take the deal and you go to trial, you get maxed out. That's how it works. They tell you that even if you're white, if they have a case against you, they say, all right, so you have an attempted murder. If you plead guilty to attempted murder, we'll give you 10 years. But if you don't, your attorney will tell you, if you don't take this deal, it's your best option. And if you go to trial and fail, you're going to get the max, which in Ohio, I think you can do 20 years on attempted murder, 25 years in attempted murder. So when it comes down to the statistics, it's not simply based, when it comes down to court numbers, it's not.
Well, can I just interrupt you on that, your scenario real quick, just because I do watch court TV, and for whoever watched this, I just enjoy people knowing. So with the scenario that you just brung down, if you commit a crime, whatever it is, your attorney is going to tell you either plead out or take it to trial. You take it to trial, you may lose. The thing is, that is your choice. At the end of the day, your attorneys are there to give you the advice, right?
Correct.
You have to make that decision based on what you know, whatever that crime is, whether you robbed the bank, whether you killed your baby mama, whatever it is. If you know you're guilty of it, then yes. If you're not guilty, it shouldn't matter what they say. Oh, if you take it to court or take it to trial, you could lose. So what? You could win also.
The system isn't really set up for you to
win. So
win.
What? The system isn't also set up to take on everybody who pleads not guilty. That is why attorneys push so hard for those people to get pleas. If everybody who was really not guilty or even halfway guilty said, no, we're going to court, trust me, our judicial system would fail. And you could ask many attorneys. They will tell you that in any case, because there's more of us than it is of them.
Yes, but the issue here is the court system is set up to give out plea deals because
that's what they're set up to do. That doesn't mean we have to accept it.
I get that, but you're arguing a point that I'm not making. The point of it being race-based has nothing to do with if the system is set up to give you a plea. If you don't take a plea, you're going to get a harder sentence than if you did. So automatically, if you look at cases where one group is getting longer sentences than other groups, it depends. Did the group that's getting a lesser sentence take a plea deal, or did the other group that's getting longer take it to trial? So there are multiple variables that are inside the court system that take away from the disparity. Just like if you look at the FBI crime statistics, 51% of all violent crimes in America are committed by African American males from the ages of 15 to 45.
Okay.
So you have a small group of people that are overrepresented in the court system because they're committing majority of the crime. So like if you have, like I said, when it comes to violent crime, you're going to get a longer sentence than if you did longer crime. So long story short, if you're looking at overall cases, you have judges so you have individual judges. So not every judge is going to rule the exact same across the country. You have circumstances in a case that allow the judge to give you a different deal, a different amount of time based on the evidence. You have the type of crime, violent crime compared to non-violent crime. You're going to get less of a sentence. If you go to trial, you're going to get more time. There are multiple things. If you kill a woman, you're going to get the max. Like killing a woman, you're easily going to get the max.
So let me and I'm going to let you go in just a few. So the way I'm seeing it in my head is about choices and options. And I know we've, been around the board. We've gotten a little off topic. So I'm going to use this just as a scenario. So like with the election, we had 4 people we could choose from to be president, correct? However, the vast majority of the world said if you go against Trump or Biden, you're picking for one or the other, as if we didn't even have the option to choose 3 or 4. While there was a small number of people said, guess what? We have other options. Y'all are giving me 1 or 2, but I have 4 total. There are always options, and you have to go with whatever is best. That's just a list there. That you have to go with what's best for you. Everybody's situation isn't going to be the same, correct? But at the end of the day, whatever individual, be it a black man, white man, black female, Asian female, whatever, at the end of the day, you have to make whatever decision is best for you, because at the end of the day, you're going to live with that decision. So unfortunately, when we go to court, and I know, unfortunately, I can't apologize for the black women who's done, bullshit, but I see it and I don't like it either. And I despise the foolishness. But at the same time, it's like, okay, we put ourselves in certain situations. We put ourselves there. Now let's accept that we've done it. And how do we correct it? So we can complain. We see the problem. We can complain about it. but that doesn't resolve anything. It's like, hey, here's the problem. How do we fix it? I don't want to hear about the problem. I don't want to hear about the labor. Show me the baby. That makes sense?
It doesn't, because I'm not sure where you're going with your point, like what you're addressing.
So when it comes to courts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let me think, because I ain't been up all that long. I came on YouTube to clear my head looking at stuff and seeing that you were live. So when it comes to court, I just don't feel like I get what you're saying about, I still feel like race plays a part. It may not be that way in Cleveland, but for me watching court TV, watching documentaries, and personally being at court with other people and just to be there before COVID, I would see certain things. So at the end of the day, like I was saying, we put ourselves in there. We had the options. We had choices, right? In the beginning, we made those choices that led to where we are now for you to be in court, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now that is, we know the problem. What is the solution?
Well, the solution to not go to family court is not to deal with women, but
well, good luck.
But the reason that, like, so, do you see me on camera?
Yes. The only reason I'm not on camera is because I don't need Tommy seeing your show and seeing me with my Jiffy Pop bag on my head. So
no, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm not making a comment about you being on camera.
Okay.
But
okay.
So, but you can see that
I see you. I see you.
You see, I don't have hair, right?
Correct.
So, if I feel that I have hair, does that make it true?
No.
Okay. So when it comes down to logical thinking and problem solving, you can't go based off of your feelings. The fact of the matter is there's either statistics and facts that back up your claims, or there's not. A lot of the time when it comes to documentaries and it comes down to stuff about race, at the end of the day, race is a huge moneymaker. It's a huge moneymaker.
And you'll never be able to prove, though. You say when it comes down to it, you can't go by what you feel. You can never really prove anything is based off race. It's going to always be your word versus my word. So,
okay, so
even in that sense, we can't say that it's fair to say that the judge or the courts don't judge people based off of race, because we don't know that. You can't. That's not something you can see. I can see that you're white, and let me see if I can turn my camera on. You can see that I'm black.
So I got a question for you. What percentage of single-parent households are in the Black community?
Probably about a good 90%.
It's about 80%. Do you know that 80% of people that are in prison come from a single-parent household? Yes. Okay. So that is a fact that those are facts.
Okay, so then that going back to it, that's all the more reason for the system to look at Black people in a negative.
No. So
but in a way, that's not purposely, but in a way, that's what you just voiced. 80% of people that's in prison come from family households, Blacks.
Yeah, so you have white people that are in prison that are from single-parent households as well.
What's the percentage?
40% of all children in America are born out of wedlock to single mothers.
What's the percentage of Blacks?
The percentage of Blacks that are in prison, let me look it up.
From single-parent households, though. Like the vast majority of people that are Black, that we were seeing, single-parent household, what is that percent? That'll probably still be about 9. That'll probably increase to about 90%. All the more reason And I'm not saying that is right, but I do understand it. And I don't know anybody who wouldn't. If you have 90% of Black people that are in jail come from a single family household, why wouldn't I look at you in a negative? Why wouldn't I be judging you?
Okay.
I am Black, and I ask that question. Why wouldn't I judge you if this is what's going on? 90% says you're going to do fuck shit.
In 2010, inmates in the adult facility by race, ethnicity, jail, and state federal prisons. 64% of the population is white, non-Hispanic. Percentage of the U.S. incarcerated population is 39%. Hispanic is 16% of the population, and they are 19%. Blacks are 13% of the population and 40%.
Right.
5.6% and 1.5% in prison. So now I'm going to bring up.
Right. We are 13% of the United States with 40%, almost half, with a low percentage. I'm just simply saying, I want you to see, like, damn, maybe I'm right to some extent. Like, damn, I see why they look at it. Like, I'm Black. Come on, I'm not, and I'm by far not prejudiced. I love my people. I know the bullshit that we're doing out here, though. I've seen it. I've been part of the fuck shit. And white people see it. Asians see it. And the world sees it. So yeah, unfortunately, we get judged because of our color. Sadly.
No.
But it's because of what we do. That's the thing. It's not just because of our color. It's because of what we as Black people do. And that's the thing that I wish white people would just accept. We as Black people, we do this fuck shit to ourselves.
Oh no, I totally accept that people do their own bullshit. But this is what you have to understand. Do you want to move to Chicago, Southside Chicago?
Fuck no. The hell? I'm trying to live. That's why I live in Florida.
So why not? Why don't you want to move to Southside Chicago?
Motherfuckers are dying early. I have kids. I love my kids, and they're not going. That's why.
But why not? But why not?
Okay, I'm gonna come down to a little professional level because sometimes I get excited. So for me personally, I will not ever, because I value my life and I value the life of my kids. And from what statistics, from what I've heard, from what I've seen, it is not a safe place to be. I recently told a friend I wanted to visit Chicago, but I won't go to the South Side or wherever crime is. And I have 2 days tops to be there and peel out.
Okay, so I'm going to share this. So I am having trouble finding how many, like I know 80% of people that are in prison, but it doesn't break down by race, what percentage of each race doesn't have fathers that are in prison. But
I can tell you the vast majority of them will tell you of the 40%, of that 40%, I guarantee you 35% of them either didn't have a father or whose father was present did time.
So here's National Fatherhood Initiative. This is from their website. It says that there is a crisis in America. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 18.3 million children, 1 in 4, live without a biological step or adoptive father in the home. There is a father factory in nearly all of the social ills facing Americans today. Research shows when a child is raised in a fatherless, absent home, he or she is affected in the following ways. They are 4 times greater risk of poverty, 7 times more likely to become pregnant as a teen, more likely to have behavioral problems, more likely to face abuse and neglect, 2 times greater risk of infant mortality, more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol, more likely to go to prison, 2 times more likely to suffer obesity, and more likely to commit crime, 2 times more likely to drop out of high school. So without a father being in the home, all these things, so drug abuse, teen pregnancy, poverty, committing crimes, all these things are more likely to make you go to prison, correct?
Yes.
So if 1 out of 4 children in America are born without a father in the home, is that a race issue or is it a different issue?
No, that's a different issue.
Okay. So if this is a different issue and 80% of children born in the Black community are not having fathers, is it a race issue that they're not having fathers, or is it a other issue?
Both.
How is it a race issue?
When it comes to Black people, and I'm speaking from my Black experience, okay, the vast majority of us didn't grow up in a 2-parent household. So when that's not something you are around consistently, you don't know better. You're going with what you do know. That is why it is that way. When you grow up in a 2-parent household, whether it be with your grandparents, your auntie, your uncle, that's stable, when you get older, you want that. So you're going to strive for that. But when you're not around that, that's not what you're looking for. Why? From what you know, that's TV stuff. That's a different world. That's the Cosby Show. That's Family Matters. That's stuff that's not real life. I can say that because I literally was that child. I grew up, the most stable time of my life was from 4 to 9, living with my grandparents. Outside of that, it was all kind of weird fuckery. And when I talk to people in my community, it's the same thing. Their stable life was with a family that had male and female and had strict rules and regulations. Unfortunately, that is not the case. And it's not just Black households. I know it's in white people too, because I see it. I do have white friends, some Asians, but no, one Asian, because I have Asian friends too. But in the Blacks, yeah, that's not the case. When you don't see it, you don't know it, you have to learn it on your own. And a lot of times it's not until later in life that we learn it.
Okay, so here is so this is the 1930s. Never married, 5 years age groups. So this is the 1930s. So it goes 100.
Oh wow, we're going back there.
Yeah, it goes up at 100 and it goes down. So this green line represents the target value.
Okay, I'm trying to understand why we're in the 30s. Like that was a different era. Like everything was different back then.
So wait. So this blue is the percentage never married.
I can't see. You're saying the blue.
I'm trying to take this back to the marriage rates, because if you look at the marriage rates in the 1920s and 30s, Blacks had a higher rate even than white people back then. It started to change in the 60s, and I'm trying.
Wait. Do you know why that is though? Do you know why that was though? You have to think about where Black people came from. We had no choice but to stick together. It wasn't like it was. We have options now. We didn't have all of those options and choices then. We have that more freedom to say, fuck you, I don't want to be with you anymore. I guarantee if they were back in the 30s then saying, fuck you, no. That man was probably likely to be hung from a tree. That female was going to be raped and taken somewhere else. There's no telling. That's not the same now.
Okay, so that's a bad argument.
Which one? About the 30s?
Okay, so in the 1930s, if you have the ability, if you have no choice to stay together, correct? Because you could get raped and hung.
They didn't have a choice. It was a better choice.
Okay,
they
so
didn't have many options like we do now.
Okay. So follow the logic.
Okay.
So if you were going to get hung and raped in the 1930s, so it was a better option, okay? Because of death. So now that you don't have hanging and raping in mass, which you didn't have in the 30s anyways, but let's just say you did. That was a good option. But now that isn't prevalent, that isn't a problem, it's not a better option now.
What's not a better option?
Just to get married and have children and stay together.
I'm saying getting married. I've never said getting married was not a better option. To me, being married, staying together is always, if it's best, if that's what's best. That's not always what's best for the couple, and it's damn sure not always best for the kids. However, if a family can be married and make that work, yes, it is better for them to do that. However, because we have more options now than they did in the 30s, that is not what we're worried about. And because we didn't grow up in the 30s, 40s, 50s, a lot of us younger ones, we didn't see people sticking it out. That's what I'm saying. We didn't see them sticking it out, regardless of the bullshit. I have families that was born in the 40s. And as you know, you go to a family reunion, you find out you got other sisters and brothers because people done stepped out, but that family still stayed together. We don't see that anymore.
So my son's mom, her grandmother and grandfather were married for 30, 40 years until her grandfather died. So she's not married. Her sister's not married. Out of the four grandchildren, only one is married. Not out of her uncles, out of like 4 or 5 of them, only 2 of them got married. One of them couldn't get married. But their mom and dad were married. Grandma and grandpa were married. I asked when I got my son's mom pregnant, I asked her to marry me because that was what's right for our kid. And do you know what she told me?
What? No.
She said that getting married was a big deal. That was a big step.
Well, marriage is a big step, but so is having a child.
She was currently pregnant when I asked her.
Unfortunately, I'll say, well, fortunately, I will say it might have been what was best for you. And that's why I'm more of one of those people who try to see positive, even in negatives. So although you asked her to marry you while she was pregnant, I feel like that would have been the best thing for the child, for that child to see both parents in a, loving home, argue sometimes like people do, but grow up together so that child can see what it's like, how life should be, right? Because that's what most of us want. But when you lay down with someone prior to talking with them about that, then that means you made a decision that you can't go back on, unfortunately. You made a mistake or whatever have you, and you tried to correct it. So it's like, if you all didn't talk about marriage prior to her getting pregnant, then you can't really fault her to an extent.
No,
I don't know that situation.
I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it. Our situation wasn't ideal. That's not what I'm saying. But you're saying that. Okay, so when you start off this conversation, you started off with the system, racism. You also started off with the reason that blacks were married was because of being hung and raped.
Well, not being hung. Not being hung. I was just.
You said hung. You said hung.
I did say hung, but that don't mean like. What I mean, KKK was doing that shit. Like, come on. I'm not saying it was massive, but they were doing it back then. Like, that's no secret.
Yes, but but this is what you're saying. So even under slavery, they had higher birth rates. After slavery, during slavery, they had higher marriages. After slavery, they had higher marriages. It wasn't until welfare was introduced into the black community that women chose to take it and kick the men out. It wasn't the women it wasn't until black women chose feminism that they started not liking men.
Because they gave us options.
Yes. So the behavior is of women choosing not to be married, which is selfish for them. I'm not mad that my son's mom didn't marry me, but my point of it is she's a black woman who was pregnant and was offered the chance to be married, which the statistics, 1 out of 4 black women will get married. 3 out of 4 will not. So she was offered the opportunity of getting married because she was pregnant. And I was taking up the responsibility of doing what was right for my child, not what was right for me, what was right for my child. And she chose not to. So what it comes down to when it comes to going to prison, when it comes down to family court, when it comes down to poverty, all these things come down to choices that you make. It's not racism. It's not racism is not the first problem in America for black Americans. It comes down to choices.
For all races.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So the fact of the matter of it is, it comes back down to a behavior. And I feel that the reason I made this stream about divesting and about swirling, there's nothing wrong with, I have no problem with swirling or divesting. But when divesting and swirling is being pushed as a hammer against black men to get black men to either act right, change their behavior, because they're saying pretty much, well, white men are going to treat us better and you guys are dust, you guys aren't doing nothing, you guys are dominated, all this derogatory stuff to black men and using white men as the hammer. It only escalates racial tensions. That's all it does. Because you're now pinning black men against white men in a fight that, like, us white men weren't even trying to be a part of. Like, I
get what you're saying.
I'm going to work trying to feed my mixed son, and I all of a sudden got black men that see me with my kid's mom. They're, oh, that's one of them swirlers. Like us white dudes are just normal, average dudes. Like, when you listen to the black community, when it comes down to wealth, when it comes down to all these things, we're stereotypes of people. Like, black people stereotype white people way harder than white people. Like, we have generational wealth. We all are born with a silver spoon. We all have good jobs. We have all these things, but we don't. We just showed in the beginning of the stream statistics. The average median income is $1,000. The country is 65% white. So the majority of white people are average. We're average people. But you have this. Go ahead.
So what you're saying, and I'm agreeing. So it sounds like, because a lot of us are saying, hey, you black men are this, all these negative words, is like it's putting more pressure, because we're saying, oh, we're going to go to a white man. So it's like now we're putting all this pressure and some type of targets on you all's head from the black community, because we're downing them. We're bashing them in a way.
Well, it's not that you're putting pressure on us, but this is the thing. Whenever it comes to any conversation with black folks, it comes down to this high idea that white people have money. We have all this privilege. Life is so much easier for us. Everything is just fucking great. Like, we shit $100 bills and our girlfriends shit sherbet. Like, there's this idea of white people that's not true in general. And then when you use this idea that it's going to be, the grass is going to be greener when it comes to white people, it's unhealthy expectations. So, like, if right now, if in the white community, there's an idea in the white community, the black community, that black men have huge, giant wangs. All right. So if you are a white woman that was constantly hearing black men's cocks are huge, 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 they will fucking rip your guts out, and you're a white woman and you go and have sex with a black man that's penis is not fucking a radiator hose, would you be let down?
Of course.
Of course. So with these women that are pushing this idea of how magical white men are, it's a standard that we can't live up to. So you're going to be upset about this. But at the same time that you're building up this magical white man, you're shooting down all the normal black guys in the community. So you're destroying that bridge to build a bridge to nowhere with us because we can't live up to a standard. And it's just making tensions between men and women, white men, black women, white women. It's just dividing. It's making this divide because it's a reality that none of us can abstain to.
You know what? To that, I do agree. And I can't even lie. I'm currently kind of part of it. Because I'm black, and I do see. I go by what I see with us, not the media, not just the media, because of course the media puts it out there. But just from what I personally see when I'm out and about, around town and whatnot, I see what our black men could be, and I see the way they act. And it's more of how black men or how black people, how we respond in public versus how white people. So although we do unfortunately say these negative things that tear down ourselves and our men, and we're saying it's a bad comparison that we shouldn't do. As you just pointed out, we should not do it. It is horrible. However, it's in the same sense is how do we get our black men to listen to us, to behave better, to act better, to present themselves better. I cannot stand, and I know white people do it too, but if you go in Walmart and you take all the females out and look at the men, don't give a crap about the color, they're all male. Look at their waist below. Look at their neck up. But not even that. Go from the scalp up. That way you don't see a face. There's no judging. The forehead up. The waist below. I guarantee you, not just because of how our hair texture is, if you were to put a silhouette, because of how we wear our hair, you're going to know the black male. Because of how we wear our clothing, you're going to know the black male. So we do certain negative things, and it's like, don't point out our bullshit, just accept it. And we shouldn't compare, but when the negative is out there, we've put it out there for us to be judged. And it's like, we don't want people to talk about our bullshit, but we're the ones putting it out there. Same with white people though. But we hold you all to a certain level because that is what you all put out there. Not to praise you all purposely. It's not. And I say this because, like I said, I am part of that. But when you look out into the world, you don't see a lot of white people doing the things that black people are doing. We don't do it purposely to out ourselves. When we're speaking about it, we're just speaking facts. This is what we're doing. And we just want the change. But it's like now that we see the problem and we can, present so many solutions, but everything that we say, oh no. If the way I talk a lot of time, black people say I sound white. My own black people. I don't think I sound white. I've been told I sound country. Maybe. I'm from Florida. So, okay. But at the end of the day, as black people, we do it to ourselves and we don't want anybody else to point it out or say shit about it.
So here's a great point. So you have other black folks tell you that you sound white, correct?
Unfortunately.
So that would mean that sounding white is negative, correct?
To black people.
Okay, so maybe the plight of black people is the fact that they are trying to go against the major culture. When you have people from other countries, from Africa, that come over here, they assimilate. Other groups, when they come to America, assimilate into American culture. Black folks don't want to assimilate. They always want to paint a racist narrative about how because they're black. But if you look at culture, black folks control culture right now. When it comes to hip hop music, hip hop is the biggest selling genre of music. Majority of the music that's bought in America by America is by white people. If you listen to Lil Wayne's when he goes to a concert, most of the faces looking back at him are white. You're not going to have millionaire rappers or millionaire LeBron James or millionaire superstars, celebrities that are not supported by white people. It's just not possible. So this idea that white people or America is so racist, it's bullshit. Because when it comes to urban wear, when it comes to white people buying, like, do you think it's only black folks that are buying Kanye West's $1,000 pairs of shoes?
I doubt black people were doing that shit, but of course not.
Of course not. The fact of the matter is, hip-hop and black culture has been profitable in America based on the fact that it's accepted by the mainstream. So this idea that is being painted is not true. Not saying there aren't racist people, not saying that there aren't cases of racism, but the idea that everything comes down to race is just, it's not true. And it's an excuse to sit in bullshit. Do you know when it comes to children being adopted in America, do you know that the most black children that are adopted in America are adopted by white folks?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I do.
So if America was so racist, like, for fun fact, my sister couldn't have kids. She had like 7 or 8 miscarriages while her and her husband were trying to have a child. So my sister did what she could do, and she decided to be a foster parent and adopt children. So she took in a family. There was 4. She adopted 4 kids. The oldest kid is mixed. The youngest 3 kids are white. They're all brothers and sisters. They're all from the same mother. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But she adopted all of the kids. When the oldest child was first placed in the foster care system, they put her into a black household because she was mixed. The woman that took her in would not let her bathe, did not spend money that the state was giving her on that child. Whenever she would come over to my sister's house to visit her siblings, the other siblings my sister had, the first thing this 10-year-old girl would ask for was if she could take a bath. Every time. Eventually, my sister ended up advocating for that little girl with CPS to get her away from that household, and ended up taking her in and adopting her. So this idea that racism is what's holding people back is not true. It's behavior. Just like as a white guy with face tats, I'm looked at differently than a guy that's white that doesn't have face tats.
True.
So at the end of the day, personal responsibility is always going to be the first issue. When you listen to people on panels, when you listen to these women in the manosphere, or you look at videos that go viral, when people act ignorant in a store or when they act ignorant in a parking lot, look at Karens. White Karens that act like assholes to people, they go viral. When you have black women that are acting crazy in a store, it goes viral. That's not race-based. It's a behavior. It's a behavior. The reason that you don't want to move to Chicago is not because of race. It's because of behavior.
I'm just thinking because it's a number of things I was wanting to address on that. But you're right. At the end of the day, it is a behavior, but a lot of it is race. With the Karens, they want to approaching other white people. They specifically approached blacks because that was based on race. So some things it is ignorance. Some things is based on race. When I've seen white people say they see a black male and they start clenching their purse or they move closer, it is not because that black male has done anything. Racism, the thing is, it does exist. Some people are racist. Some people are ignorant. It is oftentimes hard to tell the difference. I know this because I've had tons of patients that I thought was racist. They were just being ignorant on that day because they came back all kind of loving. Absolutely love them to this day.
Question
but
for
there
you.
is a difference between ignorance and racism. And some of them, it is ignorance towards the race.
Question. If you're walking down the street at night and 3 black dudes are walking on the same side of the sidewalk, are you on the same side of the sidewalk, are you going to cross the street?
No.
If 3 white men are walking down the street at night and you're walking on the same side of the street, are you going to cross the street?
No. But I'm not white. And I'm not scary.
No. Are you going to move away from 3 men at night?
Me personally, no. Because of how I am, because of where I'm from, how I grew up. Me, I would not. A lot of people may say yes. Me personally, no.
As a man in Cleveland, if there are 3 black men or 3 white men on the same side of the street that I'm on, I'm crossing the street because I'm outnumbered.
What am I fearing though? That's the thing. I don't walk in fear like that. So if I see 3 people, it's okay. I'm gonna walk my happy ass home.
It's not about fear. It's about survival.
But that's the thing. I'm gonna survive. I'm walking, so I'm not seeing why I can't walk.
You are still walking if you walk across the street. Do you think men should carry condoms on them?
Yeah.
Why?
Protection.
From what? They're not having sex.
You said guns?
Condoms.
Oh, condom. Wait, who said they're not having sex? They might have sex within an hour. They might have sex later that day. They might have random sex. So yeah, carry it.
But they're not walking out the door having sex. I'm not going to work with sex. I'm not going to the store for sex.
You might.
So it's better to have the condom and need it than to not have it and need it, correct?
Correct.
So then why would you not walk across the street when you're outnumbered by 3 people?
Why would I? Is the question. If I'm walking, the thing is, if I'm walking on the sidewalk, I guess because of where you're from and where I'm from, we're not seeing it. Where I'm from, if I see 3 people, I don't give a fuck, excuse me, and I'm going to keep going. I don't see why I need to move. If I need to be on this side of the sidewalk, why am I moving? I can't walk a sidewalk? That's wrong now, to walk a sidewalk?
Again, you're trying to interpret the question into being as if you're wrong. It's not about that.
No, I'm trying to understand, like, you're saying survival. What is
correct?
These aren't lions, they're humans.
Okay.
I can't walk past 3 humans?
So I got a question. So should you get into a car with a guy you don't know?
Why would I do that?
Why wouldn't you? Based on what you're saying, then
no. Because your first thing was a sidewalk. If I'm walking on a sidewalk, I can do that. But if I have my own car, and if I don't have my own car, I'm not gonna go in with a stranger. That's getting in a vehicle with a stranger. I'm walking on a sidewalk. It's a different comparison. So I'm just trying to figure out like where we're going with that.
Because the fact of the matter is if you're walking, it's a bad option to get into a car with someone you don't know. It's a bad idea to walk into a group of 3 people that you don't know at night, because if they end up having ill word, you're surrounded by 3 people. If you cross the street, it gives you distance. Just like if a shooting happens, you're supposed to give yourself distance. Like the idea of survival is seen like as humans, we read what could be dangerous and we acclimate to that as a survival. It has nothing to do with race. If I'm walking at night and there's 3 black dudes walking on the same side of the street, I'm going to cross the street because they might not have ill will for me, but if they do, I'm going to be walking into the middle of them.
Okay, so you know what? I think because it's a male thing, I think with males and some females, it might be a difference as how we viewing that. So let me apologize. I did get a little excited, so I'm gonna apologize. I think we are viewing it different. And you say you're from Cleveland, and I'm from the capital, and I've lived in Georgia. And so for me as a female, I've gotten in cars with people I didn't know. Thankfully, I'm still here. Would I do that to this day? Of course not, because I know better now. I would be putting myself in a dangerous situation. But for a female, it's different for you as a male. So I'm seeing this. If you at walking down the street at night, I can see that.
If I had a vagina, the fact of the matter is I'm on average weaker than any average man that I come across.
Right, but if you were a female, though, that's the thing. You're not a female, so just hear me. If you were a female, 9 times out of 10, you wouldn't be thinking like that, because most females, we're not automatically thinking I need to be able to survive. If we're a female and I see 3 dudes, I can easily go and have a conversation with them and keep it moving. I can see 3 dudes, I can see 5 dudes, and they might actually be there to help. They may not, but that fear instinct, that survival instinct, is not with most females, especially not Black females. That's not how we operate.
So I got a question for you. So if you're a female and you're walking late at night on a sidewalk and you see 3 dudes and you don't think that you should walk on the side of the street, then you must be into gangbangs, because that's the only reason that you wouldn't be concerned about walking into a group of males.
I'm not in a gang.
No. I don't mean about a gang. I mean the sexual act.
Okay,
enjoying more than one man at a time. Like,
I've never been in that. That's all I have to say about it. I've never been in those positions. That's all I have to say about that.
But when it comes down to Karens, if you go on YouTube and look up Karens, a lot of Karens are yelling at white people. The only time that you see Karen videos that go like nuclear and go super viral is ones that are interracial, because that sells. Racism in America sells.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it the problem of society, but it sells. I'll give you a great example. So if you look at what was his name? The kid that got shot down in like Florida.
Trayvon Martin. What race was Zimmerman?
White. He was Hispanic.
Yeah, look like a white boy.
Zimmerman wasn't white.
Okay. I didn't follow it. I just seen him and kept it afloat. Okay, so he's Hispanic.
But again, it was pushed as white man kills black teen.
Yeah.
Huge. Okay, look at Michael Brown. The cop that shot him, what color was he?
I don't know. I didn't follow that. Huh?
He was white, but guess what they said about Mike Brown?
What?
He was a teddy bear. He wasn't doing nothing. That cop just killed him because he was black. But the fact of the matter is he fought with the cop and tried to grab the cop's gun. The cop shot him. He wasn't shot in the back, walking away with his hands up. That was a lie. But it got so much media attention because it painted the white-black narrative. If right now I walk down the street...
Okay, but that wasn't the case with Trayvon Martin, though. And that wasn't the case with a lot of black men.
But that was the fact that Trayvon Martin wasn't killed by a white guy. He was killed by a Hispanic. But the media said he was white.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying there.
If I walk down the street right now and get into a fight with a black guy, and they take a video clip of it and post it on the internet, do you know what people are going to automatically assume?
You're racist.
That I'm a racist white guy that was fighting that poor defenseless black guy. Regardless of what the clip does, people are going to justify it as me being a racist.
Right. And that's why I was saying before, that's why I try not to worry about what the media says, and I don't go by what the media or the statistics say when it comes to blacks and whites, especially blacks, because I am a black person who live it, and I talk, and I'm out in the community, and I talk to people, so I get to hear, and I talk to attorneys and doctors all the time. Well, used to before COVID. So a lot of the information that I receive is not from social media. It's from me reading and talking to people, and getting their, perspective and their insight on what's going on. So when it comes to race, yes, unfortunately, the media loves pushing that race foolishness, and we just continuously eat that bullshit up. They're feeding it to us, and we're asking for desserts.
So do you know when it comes to interracial crime, do you know what the statistics on that are?
No clue.
So when you have interracial crime, 90% of the time you have a black perpetrator and a 10% of the time you have a white victim. When it comes to white aggressors on black people, it's 10% of the time. And it's 10% of the time it's a white person attacking a black person. 1 out of 10 is a white person attacking a black person. But 9 out of 10 times it's a black person attacking a white person. But if you were to listen to the media, or you were to listen to your average black person in your community, they're going to tell you that there's a bunch of racist white people attacking blacks. But the statistics show that that isn't true.
Right. So even by your logic, you just said the statistics said 9 times out of 10, 9 out of 1, black people are going to be attacking white people. Correct. Right. So there's that negative again with blacks, regardless of what we say. You just proved it. Black people are XYZ, and it's the negative. We are negative. The media puts it out there. We don't see the shit. Whether it be black male, black female, we're causing our own destruction and demise. And unfortunately, like you said before, wrong. We're praising you all, but you just read it.
But here's your problem. So if you watch the media, all right, the media shows you when black men are the victim or black people are the victim. When black people they'll clip a video of
they clip it to make it look like we're the victim.
Correct. But the statistics prove that it's the opposite.
Not.
So the media is actually doing the opposite of what you're saying. So if you look at the statistics on how many unarmed black men were killed in 2019, the statistic shows that it was 11 unarmed black men out of all the police interactions and 19 white people. The media is actually making black people the victim when the numbers show it's the opposite. If you ask any average black person, they will tell you that systematic racism is real, and black people are just getting gunned down by the police. And that's not the case.
Okay, news media is making black people look like victims. But when we're posting our bullshit on there, that is our media. And we're not making us look anything but worse. So while news media clips things to make us look like the victim, it is hurting us because white people see it and they're seeing this negative picture of something that's false. Because when the truth comes out, we were really wrong. So now it's like white people now have more reason to hate us.
White people don't care.
I'm not saying that y'all should. I'm just saying, like, I get it. If they were, it's like because it's out there, it's like, dang, why did they have to lie about this? This is what really happened.
We don't care.
Some don't say y'all, because some do.
We don't. Yeah, but some is the minority.
And that's all that matters. All you need is a few to stir up enough. The same thing with black people. All you need is a few of us.
That's not how it works. If we both say that black men have big penises, and I go and show you 2 black men with small penises, that doesn't disprove the idea or stereotype that black men have large penises. You cannot make a rule based off the minority. When you say that. When you say that black women,
that's okay, but we can't line up all men and show the damn dicks. But we can line up a lot of foolishness and show that. Dicks, that's one thing. We can't show that. But they're showing us our bullshit.
So again, if I say that 80% of men in prison come from single parent households, and you show me your one friend that's single mom put them through private school when they became a lawyer at a top education, that doesn't disprove the statistics. That's an outlier. The fact of the matter is most white people don't care. Most white people have the exact same problems that everyone else does. We go to work. We try to take care of our kids. We're getting fucked over at our job by someone above us. Like, we got car payments to make. Our car got hit in the street. Like, we have to take our trash out. Our dog shits in the fucking living room. Like, our kid is pissing on the floor for no reason in the middle of the night. Like, we have normal problems just like everybody else, and we don't have the time to be placating to hating black people. We barely have enough time to live our own lives.
Well, I feel like how Trump said it, and this is just me and my opinions. I feel like you all realize, not you all, some white people, for those, you care, but you don't. Like you said, everybody got their own bullshit. So it's like, all right, I see the bullshit. All right, I'm prepared. I'm going to live my life. But if fuckery comes, I got it. Unlike with black people, they're more active doing shit. White people carrying on with their fucking life for the most part. But that's not to say that y'all don't give a fuck. I'm not going to ever say that, because I've talked to white people. I know they are giving a fuck. What they are saying is they're just standing by. Like Trump said, they're standing back and standing by for real.
But we don't care.
No, y'all care. Maybe you don't. But the ones that I talk to, they care.
Listen, I'm white. I have white family. I've been around white people. Like, I've been around more white people in my life than I guarantee any black person on this panel has been. The fact of the matter, as a whole, we're only concerned about worrying for our lives. Like, we are so bogged down by the normal things of life that we don't care. Like, I went to my high school. My high school was out in the country. There was a pig farm across the street. There was 3 black kids in the entire school district. One of the black kids was the principal of the elementary school. No one harassed the kid. No one harassed him. Like, most people don't care about race. We just don't. We don't. But the issue when people talk about more people need to help black people and stuff like that, you can only help people that want to be helped. If you have a constant fuck white people mentality, no person is going to want to help you. Like, it's just not going to happen.
The reason I say white people care is because huh?
So there's a black skin is amazing. The trigger zone. He said that whites are not getting fucked over, bro. Come on, I didn't say they were getting fucked over by.
Yeah, we never said that.
We never said that. I didn't say that.
Because hell, in my opinion, everybody getting fucked over. Shit.
Yeah, but the thing of it is when you go to a business, you're gonna have people in a company that don't like you, and they're gonna try to fuck you over. Even if you're white or black, you're not gonna get along with people. Like, I work in the trades, and there's definitely white people that try to sabotage other white people's careers. Like, white people have the same problems as black people. Like, we're normal people living lives. Like, we don't shit gold. Like, we don't go to our fridge and open it and food appears in it. Like, we're trying to feed our kids just like everybody else is. Like,
no, I hear you.
Black skin is amazing. It says, okay, there you go. There you go.
What happened?
Black skin's amazing.
Oh.
Go ahead and speak your point. You're muted right now, Black skin.
Does he realize he's muted? Was he gonna say something?
I'm not sure. If he realizes or not. Black skin, your mic is not connected. You're gonna have to connect your mic. It says that now that your devices are not connected, Black skin. But go ahead, Clay. Go back to what you were saying.
I just feel like, period. when it comes to this whole race thing, it really is more of ignorance. The media, in my opinion, news media makes things worse. So unfortunately, I have to say I was never a Trump supporter before, but I honestly believe the media presents fake news for this purpose. Black people, we just have to get our shit together, period. I don't think white people are any better than black people. I don't think any race is above or below one of the other. I think we just all have our own ignorance and we all need to face our bullshit. And when we've done fuckery, face that and know how to positively move on from the shit. Unfortunately, we can't even agree on a lot, and we can't even agree to disagree. Like I'm glad I was able to call in and get on with you, and we were able to to agree to disagree. But a lot of people can't come on and have conversations, not even in person, and have a discussion, especially when it comes to race.
Well, what it comes down to is if you want to make a case that racism was huge and prevalent in the 1930s, like I'll totally agree with you. I'll agree with you that slavery was bad. Like those are reasonable arguments, but the country hasn't gotten more racist since the 1964. Hey, blacks, come back up here. Your mic and your device did not connect. So if you can get your stuff to connect, you're more than welcome on the panel. But
I think we've improved since then. I think it is more modernized, but of course I can't say racism is the same now like it was back then. I definitely don't. Anybody who feels that is definitely crazy. I know that's not the case, and I'm glad.
Yeah, this is the issue. This is the issue when it comes to the argument of white supremacy, and it comes to the argument of racism has shifted. By you saying that it's shifted, it's disingenuous, because at the end of the day, if I'm white and I say something that you feel is racism, I can lose my job. But as a black person, you can say racist shit to me out loud, and it's not a problem. Like this idea that the white man is holding you down. One, only about 5% of the country runs the country. 1%. Like your average white person is just like any other person. Our family's not related to a senator. We're not related to the president. We're not related to the congressman. We're not related to we're not related to anyone that runs the country. And we're going to Walmart. Like we go to the same Walmart you go to. We go to the same Giant Eagle you go to. We go to the same Kroger's you go to. Our kids go to the same schools. Most white people do the same shit that black people do. Like, this idea of the white man is really when you're saying the elites, and the elites dictate to everybody what is happening. It's class. It's not race, because just as much as like LeBron James lives in an all white neighborhood. LeBron James, I guarantee you, has way more privilege than most white people in the country, but it's because he has wealth. Just like a white person with a bunch of wealth is going to have much more privilege than I have. It's financially based. If you go to Cleveland, most of the people that are in office are black. When you go to inner cities, most of the people, like Baltimore, most of the people that run Baltimore are black. Most of the people in LA, like during the race riots in the 90s, the chief of police was black. Like most of the people in inner cities that are in power are black people. So this argument that the white man, this isn't 1944, this isn't 1920, like this is not 2020. Like most people in power in inner cities where predominant black people live are black. Like most of the judges here in Cleveland are black.
Like, maybe that's a Cleveland thing, because baby, come to Florida, I guarantee you that's not the case.
But we have here in Ohio, we have a pretty big population, of blacks. Like,
so that's the thing. It's like, okay, there are a number of Black people that's in power. Maybe you have more Black people in power there, but as we know, Black people, and I don't know when the last time, we got to be more than 13% by now. We keep procreating, so I'm gonna say
no.
we're 15%. No, we
No.
keep
Do you know
dying.
why? Do you know why Black people are not? They're not increasing
Why?
abortion,
You're right.
and that's
Abortion and interracial, because my daughter is, and I don't classify her as Black because she's not. Say that again.
but interracial really isn't a like, since here I'll Google it right now. How many Black children
Go away. Thank you.
have been aborted? Okay, so I'm going to look at how many Black Americans.
Okay. Well, while you do that, I'm gonna be talking. But okay, so even still, 13% of us or whatever in the United States. So in Cleveland, where you are, that small amount, what is that? Maybe 1 or 2% that's in power? Because I guarantee you, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, and those areas, they're not going to be Black. It's not going to be majority of Black people. I can tell you 100% that's not the case here in Florida. That is not in Tallahassee. That is not the case. So we have rights. That's the thing. This is America. We all have rights, regardless of whatever. But when you're someone who's of color, who's in power, is because you made that choice as an individual, whether your parents pushed you, but you did it. You did it. So that's no difference than a person who chooses to be in politics and a person who chooses to be on crack.
So one quick thing right here with abortions. So this is from Arizona Capital.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, bud. So the abortion right here is from Arizona Capital Times. It says, during February, which is Black History Month, it is a good time to look upon triumphs and tragedies in African-American history. Movies like Harriet Let Tell of Heroes of the Underground Railroad. Okay, abortion impacts African-Americans at a higher rate than any other population group. In 2011, the Center of Disease Control and Prevention released an abortion study. According to the report, Black women made up 14% of all childbearing population, yet 36% of all abortions were obtained by Black women at a ratio of 474 per 1,000 live births. Black women have the highest rate of any group in the country. When you use these percentages, it indicates that of the over 44 million abortions since 1973 Roe versus Wade Supreme Court ruling, 19 million Black babies were aborted. African Americans are just under 13% of the United States population. White women are 5 times less likely to have an abortion than a Black woman. Perhaps it is a matter of availability. A study by Protecting Black Lives in 2012 found that 79% of Planned Parenthood surgical abortion facilities are located within walking distance of minority communities.